Let's now hear from Toronto's Mayor, Olivia Chow.
We are now finished. The committee has done its business. It had a very good discussion about how rapid TO needs to be really rapid, i.e. we need those bus lane painted, the red bus lanes, so that there's less congestion. Thousands and thousands of transit riders that are on the bus getting stuck can get to work on time, get to school on time. We were very thankful for a lot of thoughtful, well-researched, passionate deputations this morning. And yes, we are committed in providing that kind of rapid services on roads in Toronto.
You're hearing it from all sides on the police budget that you're planning on offering up in a couple of days. You've spoken to us many, many times about the amount of money. You've got people who would normally be supporters of you coming forward and saying, do not let them have any more money at this point, and yet we hear from you that you do plan on offering more money. So how do you balance the two?
It is always a balancing act. As you know, we do have a huge financial shortfall of $1.8 billion that I did not create. We need to get city back on track. We need to invest in a city to ensure that life remains affordable, or maybe even more affordable, but also safer and more caring. I heard from folks this morning that they want us to invest in caring services, whether it is on building shelter, housing, better services to take care of the most vulnerable. And I heard that. I've also heard from police that they want an extra increase already. If you add up the $25 million that they have extra, plus the $10 million in the reserve funds, plus the $22 million that they are not contributing to a rainy day reserves, that's $60 million. And then on top of it, there's salary, some put aside, in possible increase. So that's a substantial amount of increase. It is a balancing act. It is putting a budget together is about making choices. And I have 2 more days to make those choices. And you will see me presenting a budget come Thursday morning that would address the needs of Torontonians in the most balanced, fair way, keeping in mind that we need to get the city back on track and making life affordable, caring, and safe for Torontonians.
Mayor, still with the police funding, I know you're getting a lot of pressure from some of the councillors that represent the more suburban parts of Toronto to give the police the full $20 million. I've talked to some councillors that are presumably on Team Chow. Councillor Moyes, for example, councillors Morley and Cheng voting in favour at the board. So how do you balance it politically too? Because you need their votes for the budget.
Well, we'll see. There are councillors that want the windrow services restored. Other councillors want lower taxes, even though $1 a day is semi-modest. I believe it is modest in terms of increase, but others want a lower tax increase. Yesterday, I already said that tenants will not have to pay more rent because of this budget. So I am lowering the multi-residential rate so that it is below 3.75, because that's the threshold where the landlord can then go to the tribunal and ask for more rent increase. That is not what I want to see. So There are lots of discussions. I've spoken to many councillors, and I'll continue to do so. I spoke to several councillors last night, for example. So we're in the middle of a lot of discussion so that councillors together, the budget that I present will not be perfect hopefully it's close to perfect. And there will be the council meeting on the 14th where there will be further discussions.
McKelvey saying if the mayor doesn't include the full 20 million in her budget, we're going to fight for this on the council floor. I mean, that's got to give you a bit of a challenge in terms of even getting enough votes to get your budget passed.
Well, we do live in a democracy. There's something very special about this city, that after 40+ thousand people, well, actually close to 50, because of if you add in the deputations and all of the folks before the holidays, participating, there are a lot of engagement. The city government is the closest to the people, which is why you see this kind of participation, passion, and conversation and negotiation, which is happening. I welcome it because at the end of the day, on Valentine's Day, I believe that we will have a budget that would have the majority of councillors celebrating, saying, we can be proud of this budget, we are proud of getting the city back on track, and that we are presenting services in the most affordable and caring and safe services for Torontonians. So I'm confident of that.
But Mayor Chow, the advocates that came this morning, saying that the money would be better spent on things like transit, housing, and helping the homeless, they didn't just come with words, they came with data that supports the idea that more money doesn't necessarily equal better public safety, and that there's a lot of stats and data that support that. So is this a case where maybe police just need to be more efficient with what they have, which is $1.2 billion?
The Toronto Police has a $1.3 billion budget. It has this year, an increase of over 200 staff, both officers and civilians. So as to how they deployed them, it's really up to the police chief and the police service board. In terms of, in this budget at this time, the staff budget and the budget committee recommendation have embedded in it a substantial investment in building more shelters and creating more affordable housing, especially rent geared to income housing, to begin to deal with those tens of thousands of Torontonians that are desperately in need of good, affordable housing. And waiting for housing should not take 13 years or 10 years. Some people cannot wait. So I hear them. I also understand that there are a lot of drop-in centers, a lot of volunteers out in the cities that are providing tremendous amount of services at their own time, as I said, to take care of the people that are most vulnerable. We thank these volunteers, and they work through a lot of agencies, through United Way, for example, and in the budget from the staff and from the budget committee, there is an increase to these services providers so as to catch up with inflation. Because of inflation, you will see in this budget several items where people will get more because just feeding kids, for example, the food costs have gone up. So we have to invest a bit more on the student nutrition program, for example. So when all these services have pressure because of inflation, the city, of course, needs to provide a bit more support to all these partners of ours out in the field.
The municipal, the non-resident municipal transfer.
Yeah.
It really seemed to get no debate. That committee this morning was approved. Why do you think it sailed through?
That easily? Yeah. For non-residents, foreign buyers, we are following the lead of the federal and provincial government. There is already a guideline in place, and we are looking in 2025 about 15 million that would come into the city. It's an issue that's been well debated by other levels of government, and the executive committee members today endorsed it without much debate because it's been talked about for quite a few years, not just in this province, but in provinces across Canada and with the federal government.
Will it work? Do you think it'll actually achieve what you're setting out for it to do?
We have seen data from other levels of government that it works somewhat. It's not a huge number of foreign investors and foreign buyers. We have a housing crisis not because of foreign buyers. There's a slight contribution to it. We have a problem on housing as a housing crisis because of supply and because we have not built housing, affordable housing, rent geared to income housing for people for several decades. That's the problem. But this foreign buyers, for non-residents tax, residential tax, it's a change that we should have made before. I'm glad that we are doing so. It's presented as part of last summer long-term financial plan. It was the first item that I tackled once I became the mayor in July, and it was the first council meeting, and this report was actually embedded in that council meeting. It took the staff a bit of time to put all the figures together, and here it is in front of the executive committee and to council.
Mayor, still waiting on word from the federal government about the refugee funding that you've asked for. A Liberal MP from Toronto just tweeted out not long ago that there are no refugees in Toronto shelter systems.
Really?
And given that level of disconnect with the Liberal caucus here in Toronto, is it time to give up on hope of that money coming? And if so, is there a further 6% tax increase in your budget on Thursday?
I can see from my own eyes, and I've talked to refugees claimant that are in our city shelter system. They deserve to not be in the rain, in the cold, when they seek refuge in this country, no matter where they're from. And I remain very hopeful and optimistic that the federal government will continue to be a good partner of the City of Toronto, because I know they recognize the need of these refugees claimants.
Just on Repetio, you were just talking about how it's just such a good thing. We were just talking to transit advocates who were saying it's not going fast enough and
True.
saying that you need to put more rapid in Repetio.
Yes.
So how do you speak it up to make sure that it's not just lip service?
Let me make a commitment today that we will put rapid back to rapid TO and deal with the congestion and say to those TDC riders that are stuck on buses that you deserve better. This item has been in front of council since 2019. There have been a lot of consultations. We need to get on with it. The design is happening on several roads, and there, as a typical Torontonian fashion, we will negotiate between those that do not want to see it and those that would want to see these busway, and we will come back with solutions and act rapidly.
Other questions? All right, Mayor Chow, I'm just looking for an update on the library cyber attack. I know that part of
The website is back on, yes?
partially though. I mean,
Yeah.
books still can't be checked in, and personal accounts still aren't online. It's just very basic. And we've just learned that IT leadership has gone to Barcelona for a convention, and people have been reaching out to us, just raising concerns. They say that they're concerned that getting the website fully restored or the systems fully restored is not being prioritized. It's not the focus. Are you satisfied with the restoration of the website after this cyber attack 3 months ago?
I am as impatient as any of the Torontonians that want the IT system to be fully functioning at the Toronto libraries. They are doing what they can, and Toronto IT service, the Toronto here is very secure, is the second most secure in North America, second to New York. And we're inviting all the agencies, board, and commission to join the Central City of Toronto IT system. And as to the trip, they are learning, and of better system, I guess, around the world. I do know that the Toronto library service, in terms of popularity or per capita use, is one of the top, second to Hong Kong, I believe, in the world. And for those that are using the library service, don't give up on libraries. Even just last night, and actually this morning, I was on Libby on the app, on the phone app, reading a book, actually listening to an audiobook while traveling to here. So don't give up to the library, continue to use it. And I do thank the librarians that are working very hard when the system is part of the system are down. Thank you for your work, because they are going out of their way to assist all the people that are still going to the libraries.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Libby is a good hat.
All right, put Rapid back into Rapid TO and deal with congestion later. We've been listening to Mayor Olivia Chow speak after Executive Committee heard from city staff about recommendations regarding the Rapid TO program. Their deadline for that was today, January 30th. This is all ahead of the mayor presenting her budget on the 1st of February, and then City Council taking vote on that on the 14th.